Hey everyone, welcome to the Weekend Project. I'm Laura Lynn of the Mama Pop Quilt Shop, and we're very happy to see you here today. Today I'm going to show you some of the 5 most feet used that I use here in the quilt shop. And one of them is here's called the High Performance Foot. It's right there. We'll show up each one up to the camera just before we use it. There's your regular sewing foot that comes with your sewing machine. Sometimes it is metal in here and not plastic, but the similar size. Here is a walking foot. Here is a free motion foot, and then here is a zipper foot. So with the zipper foot, you still have to use your regular shank or size from where the regular foot is. You just have to squeeze the little back part, and it pops off, and then you put your zipper foot on that too, okay? So it works for both. So we'll put that there and that there. And I'll show you them first, okay? So first here we have is the High Performance Foot. Okay, there we go. So you can get a good look at that. And it usually requires a specific plate to put on your machine. Sometimes you can switch out plates. Here has more of a concentrated single stitch, and in this one here you can kind of see where it's a space where you can kind of do a little zigzag back and forth or do some decorative stitches, hence a little bit different, okay? So this one has a concentrated foot or the dot right in the center, and you just unscrew your old foot, obviously, and then just tighten, just do a hand tighten to here, make sure you're getting it all in, okay? And then you take your screwdriver, and then you give it a good crank, okay? And sometimes it will shift the needle so it's actually above this little hole here, and then you just use your either foot maneuver or the stitch selected for such foot to get it to go right in between. So, and then we're good to go, okay? So there's that one. Let me show you what that looks like. I meant to just move those there. Hopefully keep them in the right order. Okay, so you can see what that looks like. There we go. And I chose a nice bright orange thread. And this is just on the regular stitching of the 2.4. And this is what helps. I like it as a high performance foot because you could ride the edge of your quilting fabric or fabric that you're working with and already have a 1/4 of an inch, because that's a 1/4 of an inch from the edge of this little, where the needle goes down into, to the edge of your foot. So you would want to ride fabric straight up against that, and you'd have your nice 1/4 inch seam allowance all the way around, okay? And that just does a nice little straight, beautiful stitch, okay? But like I said, you do want to, if you were trying to do it so you were riding it on the edge, I just did that little fold there, and I'm going to ride the foot right along, and that will give me a 1/4 inch seam allowance if these are 2 raw edges, okay? Very easy. It's a very handy foot. Great for paper piecing, great for chain piecing, those sorts of things, okay? So that is the High Performance Foot. Okay, let's take the here and loosen it. Now we'll show you the regular foot. Actually, probably, yeah, let's do the regular foot. Okay, and again, just tightening it up. Make sure it's on the shank the right way, okay? Make sure it's snug as a bug, and then come in and always hand tighten, okay? And this, we're going to go back to the center. And in this one here, it's just a regular foot, but if you go measure from the center where it drops down into your project to the outer edge, it's about 5/8 of an inch. Now that is perfect for doing clothing, home decor, anything like that. It gives you a nice balanced edge, seam allowance edge all the way along, so you could just ride your foot on the outside of your project just like that. Very, very simple and easy. It gives you very similar stitch as well to the one that I was doing here, but it gives you a bigger seam allowance sort of idea. But if you were just to use this on a regular basis, I usually go right in between where my plastic and my metal meet, and that's usually where I ride my fabric if I'm looking for a 1/4 inch. So, and again, just very straight stitch, easy peasy. Easy to control, and at 2.04 stitches per inch. Okay, so now if I go and change out the plate, which is this little button, have a little release button on the side of my machine here, pop that one out. Okay. Pop this one in, and then that way I can get zigzag and a couple of other fancy stitches. I'll show you here. Okay, let's go 5. Okay, so you can see. Put it over here. And of course, these buttons here, whether it is the width or the length of the stitch, really increase or decrease your project size, especially if you're trying to do the big zigzag. Okay, so I'll maneuvered the buttons here from smaller to bigger, and you can see how that turned out with the zigzag. Okay, so you can see how it's much smaller here, it gets a little bit bigger, and then big down here. And of course, you can use that for all sorts of projects, from appliquing to stitching batting together, just to do just some fun, decorative, fun stitches. Okay, so, and of course, you could do all sorts of other ones that come with your machine, all the big and fancy ones. What is number 72? No. 42. Nope. 82? No, that's free. It's okay. All right, so now let's move on to the other foot. So that's the 2 feet so far. Okay, let's take this one out here. Actually, let's pop this off. And I'll show you the zipper foot real quick, just so we don't have to keep changing the shank back and forth. Okay, so as for the zipper foot, okay, the reason why it is the way it is so this edge of the foot right here can, actually let me show the camera so you can see it. Okay. You can't see because I didn't focus on it. Okay, hopefully that's okay. And it rides right along the edge of the zipper. Okay. Okay. Now we want to make sure we're putting it on our project, and this just happens to be a piece of upholstery fabric that it's got a bit of a faux leather on one side and fabric on another. And it depends on how you want your zipper to sit, is depending on how you lay it out. Okay, so if I want it to sit like this, but I'd like this edge of the fabric to be tucked down under, I need to make sure it's laying on top of the zipper in such a way that I can stitch these two edges together, okay, stitch those two edges together, and be able to get that look that I'm looking for, okay? And then if I didn't want that stitched, any stitches being seen on this top part, that's where I could do it here or both of them at the same time, just to clean it all up, okay, just to keep it steady. So let's do that. Okay. Remember, this is just an example, and of course I'm using the brightest thread so you can see it. Okay. And I'm just riding it again right at the edge of the zipper. Okay, it's not going over. I'm going to move the zipper down, the zipper head down here, so it gets nice and cleanly stitched up in this section here, okay? And then sometimes you may want to do a back stitch. It depends on what you're looking for, okay? So if we wanted it just to be a press and no seams whatsoever, we'd leave it right there. But we don't have to. We can come back in and with a nice little decorative stitch, whether it be black or purple or whatever it is that you would like. Okay, just make sure you're moving the fabric so it all matches and looks good. Okay, move the zipper head out of the way. And straight off. Okay. And then that gives it a nice little sealed up look just like that. Okay. And they could do the same with the other side. And then you got yourself a little zipper pouch in no time at all. Okay. So it's very, very simple to use the zipper foot. Okay. So now let's go to the walking foot real quick. Okay. And this, you can do this for many things. You could do this for jeans, to have them with jeans, because it actually helps, the little mechanism helps walk it across the fabric as it's doing its little, it's working its way through with your sewing machine. So it's helping move all the fabric at once, especially when you got a big project going on. Okay, so here's a little bit different. You got to line up the gray parts, and sometimes some screws got to come all the way out for you to be able to fit your foot in, okay? So this was one of them. Got to come all the way, almost all the way out before you can screw it back in to sit properly. And even sometimes it always looks a little wonky. Okay, and then hand tighten. So hopefully I got everybody in there. There we go. Push the foot down. Make sure you lock it at the back. Okay. And this just usually takes your normal plate foot. Okay. And it is perfect for doing things of, like I said, hemming, putting quilt batting pieces together, putting quilt as you go, making table runners, making placemats, anything like that, as it helps maneuver the layers of fabric, because these are 3 different layers got going on here of weights and material to help balance it. So, all right, let's do a bigger stitch so you can really see it. But it's just a straight stitch. Okay. And you can see how it's, the little feet are just kind of like a little robot moving things along nice and smooth. Okay. Like I said, it's great for doing hems, especially if we're going over jeans and stuff like that, or a couple of thick layers, or you got like camo pants or something like that. Lots of handy dandies with the walking foot, okay? So there we go. And that just does a nice little straight stitch, but keeps both sides nice and even. You're not going to get a bottom side that puckers or gets scrunched up, or as you get towards the back's got a little bit of a fold to it, but the front looks fantastic. This is the kind of foot that will help with that, okay? All right, so the last foot here, last but not least, is the free motion foot, okay? Now that is where you are in control of the fabric, like a sandwich, just like this. If you were doing quilts or placemats, table runners, wall hangings, anything like that. Depending on whether you have a short shank or a high shank on your machine is depending on how big this is going to be and how it slips in there. So I believe we are high shanks on the Nomis, I think. I may be wrong there. And of course, come in and do a hand tighten. Make sure you're always hand tightening. Now this is where you want to set your stitch length all the way down to 0 and your width. Everything needs to be 0, 0. And you could even do it as, some have mechanisms to do it as a, drop the feed dogs and then you can do your free motion from there, because sometimes they want 0, 0, 0s, because you don't want any of the feed dogs to hinder you in your process of your quilting. Oh, I figure where they were on this one. Oh, I didn't. Okay, that's okay. All right, so when you start with the free motion foot, sometimes, like I said, you have a selection on your machine. You could do that. You want to bring your bobbin thread up to the top, okay? And while you start and stop your process of the free motioning, you want to be able to hold on to those 2 threads, and that'll help prevent any knots and backup and little rat's nest that goes on in the background of your fabric, okay? So let's put this down here, and then just with easy movement, you can either trace this out with washable markers or a chalk or something like that, if that's what you want to do, or you can just go crazy and have some fun and start to learn. So you can always make little quilt sandwiches, and you can always start off with placemats, and you can work your way up to like queen size quilts. Just got to really, really wrap them tight and start from the center outwards. So, okay, so I've just started. I put my tails off to the side, and I'm just going to do a couple little swirls, and that's it. It's just a matter of moving the fabric underneath the needle and having confidence in it. Usually pedal to the metal, usually. That's how I like it. And you just go back and forth. You are in control of your stitches. You don't always have to do swirls. You can just do loops. You can do stars, just the old-fashioned school stars we learned how to do. Nothing too fancy. Come out and do a heart. Down, up, away you go, circle. You could do a little flower. Start with the center. Do a petal. I mean, you know, practice makes perfect, right? So, and the more organic, I think, the more beautiful it is. So, just have some fun. Just have some fun. Of course, my thread broke. But those are my 5 most used feet that I do here in the quilt shop. Like I said, it's the regular foot. You got your free motion foot. You got your zipper foot. You got your walking foot. Okay. And you got your high performance foot, So zipper, high performance, regular, walking, and free motion. So thank you very much, everybody, for watching, liking, and subscribing. We greatly appreciate it here at the Mom and Pop Quilt Shop. If you're looking for some free patterns and just want to join our online quilt guild, sign up at www.wesewit.com, and we're happy to have you there. And those who sign up for a little extra video, get that extra video and get a chance to win the quilt that we do on it. So thank you very much, everybody. Greatly appreciate it. We'll see you Saturday, 1 p.m. on our live stream, where we're going to continue working on the Prairie Moon free project from Moda 2002. Take care, everybody. Big hugs.